Hello and welcome to Pantheon Tea. This is your one-stop shop for all the Webtoon related drama. This is where we dive into controversial Webtoon topics, creators, companies, and everything else in between. If you have something juicy you want us to discuss, then leave a comment below or link the subject matter to me in DMs. The way this stream works is we'll begin by discussing the current scandalizing topic, then we'll have a brief Q&A where you can ask me whatever you want. I'll conclude with the shout out where I spotlight one of our amazing followers. So grab a snack, a drink, headphones, whatever you need as we dive in to this wild topic. So, opening the stream, just setting the tone for this, is the opening image. I feel like a lot of companies nowadays, like whenever they're doing any sort of business, they basically are just like, you're an employee, we own you. So I just want you to keep that in mind. That's kind of my perspective coming from this as we develop the stream. So a small disclaimer. Although there are tons of links to this video, like if you look at the description, I tried to link everything ahead of time so that you all knew what was going on, where I'm getting my sources, where I'm getting my information from. But just remember that everything is our opinion, even though it might be based off of some article. So take everything with a grain of salt. And I'm going to try to say allegedly for the contract because I have not seen this contract. Other people that I've talked to haven't really clearly told me they've seen the contract either. So I'm going with allegedly or the potential contract. So before we dive into the actual Reddit article, I just wanted to cover these brief things. Okay, if you ever receive any sort of contract, please review it. Do you need a lawyer? Yes. I don't care. I know they're expensive, but if you're going to be a savvy businesswoman on the game, a businessman, whatever you are, business person, you need to get a lawyer. You need to get a lawyer. I cannot preach this enough. The reason I wanted to include this is a lot of people are throwing around the word that these are predatory contracts. And so just looking at the definition of predatory, it says inclined or intended to injure or exploit others for personal gain or profit. So I can see that behavior being applied to certain situations. I'm not saying it isn't, but I'm just saying to keep in mind that a company is always trying to benefit themselves. They're always trying to personally gain. They do not care about the individual. So it's hard for me to say a contract is predatory when I feel like every contract is predatory. I feel like the only contracts that aren't predatory are ones that are between you and friends or family. If you're doing a contract with a business, the business is always trying to defeat you by lowballing you or getting you to do something for free that you don't realize that you're doing. With that in mind, also keep this thought in your head: business versus creative. So a lot of individuals are really savvy on the creative side. You understand dynamic angles, you understand anatomy, that sort of thing. But the business side is often where I feel like a lot of people are losing the game. So it's important to remember that you have to be up on your business as well. If you're trying to do this as a full-time career or professional, understanding your IP rights, understanding when you receive a contract from a company, what you should do, who you should speak to, all of that stuff is all a part of being a professional. And it would be nice if you could just trust people to handle these things or trust people to be fair. So I'm just saying that that's something that I think everyone should keep in mind, that business is rarely fair. So it's important for both parties, and I'm saying this for the company side and the creator side. You should try to be fair to each other. It sucks because the company has all the money, but if we're talking about things from a moral standpoint, that's where I stand on it. I'm probably gonna get shot out of the sky for saying it, but if we're gonna take the moral high ground, then that means that the contract should be fair on both sides. So the last thing I want to say, when receiving a contract, it's important to understand who you are in the contract. Is this a business deal where we're partners, or is this a employee deal? are you an employee or a contractor? Because that is a big difference. Employees conform to the company that they're trying to work with, whereas contractors are more independent. They kind of set their own rules, or they agree to guidelines that are established within the company. Partners are also different. Like a lot of times if you have a partner, like it might be like a 50-50 sort of situation where you're both making executive decisions and the other party just has to go along with what you say, or vice versa. So it's important when a contract is established, if they've written it where it makes you an employee, you might as well just work a 9 to 5. Paige said, I feel like they try to be predatory until the moment you push back, have a lawyer to look at it. Yeah, honestly, there are a lot of contracts where if you don't read the fine print, it's kind of like, what's going on? Taylor, hello, welcome to the stream. Another bestie is here. All right, so now we're getting into the drama. Webtoon's own words. So right here, if you type this in to Google or Safari or whatever you use as your internet browser, this will pull up something that Webtoons released where they were like, we're going to be more transparent about the Webtoon Originals policy. So this is not in like pertaining to Webtoon Canvas. This was specifically about people understanding the Webtoon original creator process. So we're going to go to Webtoon's site and actually look at what they wrote about their own contracts. Okay. So let me enlarge this. I've got a lot of tabs open, mainly because like we're going to be looking at a good bit of articles here. But here's the page. So we're on the Webtoon site, and this is a notice. Now this notice is from 2022, but the thing about this is they haven't posted another update on this. So this is the only thing that me, who is trying to do research, could find about what you state your policies are for original creators. So even though this is an older article and it might be considered out of date, like if someone questioned it, then where's the new one? Like, where's the updated one? Because I don't have another reference. I couldn't find anything. So if anybody wants to fight me on it, then you can. But until I see the updated transparency policies, then this is what I'm going to go by. And Webtoons, you haven't taken this down. So you're kind of like binding yourself to this. And I feel like a good lawyer could be like, this is on your own site publicly for people to see and read. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not a lawyer, but that's my 2 cents for anybody who is getting any of these terrible contracts. So if you scroll down to how do contracts work, we're just going to read verbatim what it says. Our contracts are similar to what you'll find in other entertainment and publishing companies covering publishing, merchandising, and adaptations. But unlike many other kinds of contracts, Webtoon creators maintain the largest controlling ownership stake in their Webtoon. Okay, let's stop there. Webtoon creators maintain the largest. When is 100% the largest? Make it make sense. Like, where is it? Like, where is it coming from? I'm not understanding how you're saying that 100% is the largest majority controlling fact, like, piece of the pie. Like, Disney would offer more than this. And we know how Disney is about stuff. Let's continue to read, though. Our contracts enable Webtoon to create more business opportunities for a series and creator while also protecting the IP for both creators and Webtoon. So how does it protect me if you own all of it? That doesn't make any sense. Like, you're saying that you're trying to help me. You're trying to fulfill the role of like assisting me to better my IP, to uplift my IP, to really boost it. But then like right here, it's saying that you're creating more opportunities for series and whatnot through merchandising, adaptations. But then these alleged contracts are saying that you want to take over everything and give me nothing and pay me like literally pennies on the dollar. Okay, let's continue. But we understand that entertainment contracts are complex and that every creator and every potential buyer have different needs and interests. One of the ways we plan to improve this area is by creating more business affairs, support roles, and educational assets. These will help creators better understand their contracts in everyday terms and ensure creators can share feedback directly. We hope this will provide a clearer picture of what creators can expect as their profile grows and they move into new parts of the entertainment industry. So this sounds like super amazing to me. Like I really like the idea of what's here in black and white. But I don't understand like why you would send a contract to an original creator when you have this posted on your own site. Like literally, if I received a contract that said you want 100% of my work, I would like screenshot this and send it back with no response. Like I wouldn't even say like, hello, thank you for your, I would just send this and be like, I wouldn't say anything. Clearly you need to rewrite the stream because it doesn't make any sense. Okay, so let's do a quick poll. Like, I want to do this throughout the whole stream, and basically I'm going to find out what your dollar amounts are. So how much, oh wait, no, I'm going to do a price. For $500, would you sell all, no, I'm going to put 100%. 100%. I feel like 500 is too low. Let's do 2,000, what they said. Let's do 2,000 with what they said. Because I think they said they were doing like, we'll just do 2,000. For $2,000, would you sell 100% of your IP rights? Oh, wait. Oh, I'm doing a Q&A. Hold on. I got that confused. Let me do a poll. Sorry. Command V. Okay. So, heck yeah. No way in HE double hockey sticks. And then your Delulu. Okay, and so as y'all are doing that, I'm going to transition back to the PowerPoint. As we all know, I love a good PowerPoint. Play from current slide. Okay. So, just looking at this one article that they have on their own site, I'm not understanding why you would offer a contract that contradicts that. Like, first of all, if I was going to do that, I would have taken it down and put it somewhere else. So, like, no one would have access to it. And the thing of it is like, people can actually find this on their own and use it against them. So it's not making any sense. So this is where we can finally get into the Reddit article. And what I want to say about this article is again, I don't have the contract. I haven't seen it. If someone has this contract and wants to send it to me, I would love to see it. I won't repost it. I just want to read it. But I mean, I don't have expectations for a corporation to not do something shady. Sorry to tell you. Okay. Let's get into it. Up. So let's close the poll. In poll. Okay, so 92% said no way would they sell their comic for $2,000, sell their IP rights for $2,000. 7% said you are clearly Delulu, and then 0% said heck yes. So nobody was excited to sell their IP rights. All right. Now, the whole reason why we're here, the Reddit article that kind of started all of this. Now, the person who made this deleted they're gone. So I'm not sure if that's important or not, but everything that I've watched, everyone has mentioned it. So I was just like, okay, the person who originally created their post deleted their account. So I hope that they didn't get in trouble, but I mean, I'm glad they posted it. Artsumi Shea said, I always think of the creator of the Nike logo. Like, that's $1 million biz, but the OG creator wasn't giving a comparable deal. Oh, were they like cut out of their own company? That's crazy. All right, so this article is titled Beware the Webtoon Original Contracts. I was offered the originals deal a few months back, but looked over it and thought it was extremely predatory. I have experience in traditional comics, so I'm well versed in the rights and such. I couldn't believe what I was reading in my contract, so I contacted a few original creators to see if the stuff in my contract was also in theirs. I was shocked and appalled at what I discovered. Basically, the Webtoon Originals contract has evolved every year or so to become more and more predatory. These were the things in the contract offered to me. What I assume is the current and newest contract. If I sign this contract, all of these clauses would apply to my comic and in exchange for being an original series. I'll say number 1. Webtoon would automatically have the ability to buy 100% of my IP. Previous Webtoon original creators didn't have this in their contract at all, so I believed it's a new thing. Apparently, this is so. If any series happens to do very, very well, Webtoon can just snatch their entire IP out from under the creator for a very low fee, and unfortunately, this has already happened to some creators. Okay, so what confuses me here a little bit is, well, let's just keep reading. I'll elaborate. I'll come back to this. So Webtoon would own my print publishing rights. This was something that immediately stood out to me. I had previously read some threads on my Twitter by originals creators that talked about printing rights. And with my own experience in traditional publishing, I was shocked and angry to see this. Digital publishers should not have print publishing rights, only digital publishing rights. If you didn't know, print publishing rights can be bought by publishers in a deal that can be anywhere from 5 to 6 figures of money. This means that if I signed the Webtoon original deal, I would be giving away my print publishing rights to Webtoon for almost free. There is a clause that specified they would pay me $2,000 for automatic ownership of my printing rights, which is, again, a huge ripoff when compared to 5 to 6 figures. All right, so let's pause right there. Kantella said, oh wow, the account got deleted. Patient Spooky said, George Lucas sold his Star Wars IP for billions of dollars. Also, hi Apollo and everyone. I unfortunately be quiet this stream because I'm working on stuff, but I'll still be present. Thank you so much for being here, Spooky. Taylor said, more predatory every year, Webtoons. Yes, okay. Taylor. It kind of makes, let me explain why I feel like this kind of makes sense though. So when they first got over here, of course they didn't want the deals to be very, hard or very not lucrative for creators, because they were trying to appeal to people to make people want to be a part of their company. So of course the contract is going to be better in the past. Now that they're successful, they're like, we have more power. We don't have to cater to creators. Not that they ever were, but what I'm trying to say is before they were doing you get more flies with honey. than vinegar, and now they're just like, here's vinegar. That's all we have for you. Nothing else. If this is true, allegedly. Don't sue me. Remind me to say allegedly through the stream, y'all. Okay, looking back at this though, what I don't understand is it says Webtoon would automatically have the ability to buy 100% of my IP. I just don't understand the wording of this. Like, I'm assuming they're quoting this from the contract, but I'm like, why would you say automatically have the right to buy the IP? Why don't they just buy the IP? Like, it's really weird. Like I just don't understand why the contract would be structured this way when they could just say, like, we want to buy the IP outright. Because I'm like, even if it doesn't become successful, like, it doesn't make sense to me that they would put something in the contract like this where they're not, like, I just don't understand the wording of this. Like, automatically have the ability to buy 100% of my IP. Like, automatically buy. Like, that just seems weird, because, like, when you buy something, that kind of, like, means to me that you kind of, like, negotiated the price, or, like, a price was set and you both agreed upon it. So I'm just like, I don't understand, like, what this means. It's really weird. So I feel like that's one of those instances where I would have to have, like, an entertainment lawyer, an IP lawyer, somebody look this over and explain to me, like, how this actually works, because, like, what triggers this automatic buy? Like, that's too ambiguous to me, too broad, because I'm like, so at any point you can just buy my IP. Like, do you send me a notice? Do you let me know? Like, what's the indicator to help me figure out what's going on? So then, moving on past that, they talk about the fact that they spoke to other creators, and that, so they're doing a little bit of research. They're really thinking this out. This is what's really smart about this. This is what people should do when they receive any contract. I don't care if the contract sounds really good. You need to think about, like, protecting yourself. Okay. They talk here. They say digital publishers should not have print publishing rights, only digital publishing rights. I didn't realize that posting it on their site was, like, digital publishing. I guess that makes sense. So I learned something new from this, and I looked it up, and it's very much a thing. So it's good to specify in contracts exactly what rights they own. Like, do they have print, or do they have digital? Do they have both? Like, you can't be not specific. So make sure to clock that in any contracts you get, what type of rights. And then they said, if you didn't know, print publishing rights can be bought by publishers in a deal that can be anywhere from 5 to 6 figures. So this, I will say, yes, 6 figures is probably on, like, the more as, like, you're more of an established creator side of things. 5 figures, I could totally see that, like 10,000 and up. So I completely agree with everything that they're saying here, that you could be, you know, cutting yourself out of a lot of money, especially when it says, like, the clause that they would pay $2,000. Like, that's not even enough to, like, pay someone's rent or mortgage. Like, I mean, you probably could, but what I'm saying is this is barely nothing. Like, $2,000 for a creative work for an IP is kind of a slap in the face, and I feel like that's completely unfair. And so I do kind of see where people would say that it's predatory, but I do think that when people haggle, they kind of do drop low balls. So I don't know necessarily if I would have been offended to see that. I probably would have scratched my head and be like, what the heck? And I would have responded probably with, like I would have marked it down and been like $1 million or something, like, outrageous, to see what they said in response. But I don't know, 2,000, I feel like I was talking to a creator and they were saying, like, if Webtoons wants to buy 100% of your rights, then that obviously means that the series is of value to them somehow. And I completely agree with that. Like, if somebody wants 100% of the rights, clearly there's some sort of idea that they might have in mind for the series. Like, they could also just be like trying to buy up as many IP rights as possible, but I don't know. I feel like we'll have to wait and see if more creators say that Webtoons reached out to them to get 100% rights. I know that they do have stake in some series. Like, I think Unordinary, they own 20%. Like, there's a lot of random series that they do have invested in for their benefit, obviously. Kaylee Blue said, it sounds to me like they're misunderstanding a clause that would let Webtoon bid on the IP if the creator wanted to go to print. Because that's the problem. There was with that one comic where both Webtoon and an ex-employee had a claim to it. See, this is the thing that if you're an employee of a company and you buy something or invest in something on company's time, which it's hard, I guess, for you to determine when you're on company's time and when you're not, the company automatically assumes you're on their time and you're speaking on their behalf. So that can get muddy. I won't go into it, but like, you got to be careful when you're doing stuff like that. Benny! If creators don't push back against the cheap print publishing deal, then it will become the standard, not only with Webtoon, but others will follow suit. Creators can't let this slide. Okay, let me chime in on this real quick. So I 100% agree with this. Like, creators accepting bad contracts does affect the ecosystem of the contracts. Like, if 90% of creators accept this, then you being the one outlier and saying no means that likely a company like this would just be like, oh, well, that's fine. We'll just get another, I don't want to say sucker, but another creator to, be put in your place instead. And so that's where it's kind of like confusing to me why you would accept a bad contract in terms of like, for a passion project. Like, if you've really invested in this thing, you love this thing, it is your baby, it's your child, don't sell yourself short and accept crap. Taylor said, I'm assuming 2K on top of whatever royalty system Webtoon does. It feels a little low knowing how much work the platform requires up front before those royalties start coming in. See, that's why I'm like, I need to see the rest of the contract. Like, it just doesn't make sense that it's so low. Like, it's so bad. And even if it was, like, let's say that 2K was the rights to buy it automatically, I would need to see the rest of the contract to be like, what are the royalty fees? Like, what are the other amounts of money or income that you're gaining from this? Like, do you still have credit of the IP? Are you put as the creator? Is this a Webtoon IP now? So are you like, is Webtoon dictating to you how to work the IP? Like, that's something I would really want to figure out. So let's continue to read this. It says, Webtoon would own all of my merchandising rights. I wouldn't be allowed to make merch of my own comics. Not much to elaborate on here other than that this clause sucks. Now, this is super crazy because, okay, so from what my understanding, Webtoon original creators are independent contractors, and so they generally are trying to invest in multiple revenue streams with the IP that they're using. So like, take I Am the Grim Reaper, for instance. I see them talking about merch all the time, like t-shirts, figurines, keychains, charms, print, stickers, that sort of stuff, selling it, having their own online store. And I feel like it would be really hard for a creator to give up all of their merchandising rights and for a project that they're working on 80 hours plus every week. I'm just like, when would they have time to keep a livable wage? Like, they wouldn't even be able to probably pay their rent every month. So it's really weird that they would just snatch all of that away completely. Like, this is a brutal contract. It's the next point. Webtoon would become my agent. This is a red flag. For print publishing and multimedia deals, this is highly unethical. An agent is supposed to be a third party with your best interests in mind. If Webtoon is my digital publisher and also my agent, it could just sell... I'm going to say they could just sell my rights to another one of its branches, like the Webtoon Wattpad portion of the company that prints books, cutting me a crappy deal to keep costs down and to pay me as little as possible. Okay. So, this is a red flag, but I feel like you could make it work depending on the deal. Like, if you cut yourself a high enough percentage. What I do find to be an odd statement is they said an agent is supposed to be a third party with your best interests in mind. I don't necessarily agree with that. An agent has a job and they're trying to make money off of you. So they're trying to make the most money for themselves, in my opinion. Like, you can disagree with that. But I feel like when you have all of these moving parts at once, like you have an agent, you have a publisher, you have, let's say if you get into like TV or anime or something like that, then it's kind of weird to me, like, for you to entrust that any of these people are going to be looking out for your project when they're just doing their job trying to make money. Like, agents they're not an exclusive agent. Now that maybe, but as far as just like a run-of-the-mill agent, I do think that they probably care, they are interested in you, but I don't know if they have your best interests. That's just my opinion. So moving on from that, I do also think it's weird to an extent that Webtoons would even want to be an agent. Like, if anything, I would think that they would want to facilitate, like, being, like, introducing you to maybe an agent that they work with, which maybe Webtoons has agents on staff. That would be something interesting to know. And so it says for print publishing and multimedia deals. What's weird about this is the person talked about the publishing rights earlier. Where is it? It says Webtoon would own my publishing rights. So I'm like, why? So Webtoons would become my agent for print publishing and multimedia deals. If you already agreed, they already own the rights. So they don't need to talk to you about anything. So I don't know. That's weird. Like, it could just be clarification of what they're doing specifically, just to make sure that there's no misunderstanding that they pretty much own everything and your series is basically theirs and you can do nothing. It could be that. But I'm just like, if I sell 100% IP to you, that means like I sold everything to you, at least from my understanding. Like, I don't know. You know what we need on stream? A lawyer. Okay, so it says not only were these clauses highly unethical, but the pay offer to me was also severely lacking. In conclusion, I'm still shocked and angry about the contract, and I'm saddened every time a new original deal is announced because I know the creator has basically given up all of their rights just for an opportunity to be an original. Though I also heard you can argue some of the clauses out if you have a lawyer on hand and can't afford one. But not many creators do. I was told that it wasn't always this way and that it only started in the last year or so after they hired some guy from Hollywood or something to deal with all of the IP stuff at Webtoon. I hope that if enough creators push back on these predatory contracts, Webtoon will reconsider these clauses. Finally, good luck and get some lawyers if you want to become an original. Oh, we've got a good bit of comments. I'm sorry, everyone. Kantella said, even for commission artists, will separate virtual and physical. Commercial licensing, music licensing has some similar as well. Yep, agreed. Hugh said, I think with the new policy, Webtoons is making creators into employees. I agree with that. Yeah, like Webtoons, I feel like they've already kind of done that. You're kind of at their like mercy in some instances, I feel like, unless you develop your own power, like the Let's Play creator. So, but we're gonna get into it. There's a lot of people that I feel like are that are originals right now that are from an earlier generation. I'm saying generation like it's been a long time. From a couple of years back that are just simply dissatisfied with the way Webtoons is treating them. But there are creators that either have a neutral perspective of Webtoons or they enjoyed their time working with them. So I don't know. Like, Webtoons is a company, and I feel like any company, you're going to have people that are like, I love this company, it's so amazing, it changed my life. And then you're going to have people that are more cynical that are like, they suck. So it's kind of hard to be like objective about it. That's why I'm like, in black and white, you have to be the one to protect yourself. Taylor said, I've heard that I'm the Grim Reaper creator talk about the merch they make supplementing where they aren't quite paid enough to. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, if I am not able to get 4 episodes done that month, I need something to supplement my income. But if you take everything away from me and you're paying me pennies on the dollar, I'm not even going to be able to work on the series because I'm destitute. I'm homeless now. So Taylor said, considering your agent is supposed to support you and help you get a better deal from a publisher, sus. Hugh said, haha, agent isn't supposed to be your angel. This person is naive. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe they just have a really good publisher. Like, because I kind of felt that way when I first read it, but I was really trying to think about what they said, and they said that they've worked in publishing for a while, so maybe they just have like someone who's very supportive of them and it does look out for like their best deals and whatnot. So they could just be talking about from a personal experience. But yeah, I don't agree that all agents, all publishers are going to be looking out for you. They want you to make more money because they make more money. Hugh said, that's why you don't get your news from Reddit or any armchair law experts. As someone who's reading a Reddit article and sitting over here as an armchair lawyer. Not really, but I just found that funny. I was like, is this describing me? Okay, Taylor said, getting with an agent who is employed by and exclusive to a publisher starts to feel like we're moving closer and closer to vanity publishing. Yeah, see, this is where I'm like, I don't like I feel like an agent should be a third party between the two of y'all, and that way it's not as crazy that they're leaning towards one person or the other, at least when you start, just because it seems unhinged to me that like they said, like, oh, we're gonna be your agent, oh, we found a publisher for you, oh, it's our own in-house company. And that's how a lot of big companies are. They like make a company that they feel is, you know, in line with their business so that they don't have to outsource it anymore. Artsumi says, Shed, the agent is supposed to be your partner, honestly. I just feel like I can see what you're saying, Artsumi Shay, and I would agree to an extent with that. But I don't like to have a partner necessarily in turn. Like, I like things to be very clear in terms of your role and my role. My role is that this is my baby, my project. Your role is to sell my project and get me money and bring me good deals. But I just feel like unless there's like some sort of personal investment from that person, like other than money, like I wouldn't consider us partners completely. Like partners in the sense of like what's at stake for me is not at stake for them, because like if they lose me, they're just gonna keep doing their thing. I'm going to be over here like trying to save my IP. I don't know. It's a hard relationship, and I can see an agent being a partner with somebody, and I think if you can find a good one that's not shady, that's not trying to screw you, then that's perfect. So I think this is a good time to introduce another poll. All right, so let's see what you guys say to this. Would you sell your IP rights for $10,000? Absolutely. You've lost your mind. Maybe with royalties. All right, new poll. Kantella said, I'm hoping the Reddit post isn't true since a lot of it sounds quite illegal, and can Webtoon really get away with such a ridiculous contract? So this is where I'm like, okay, this is a good point, Kantella. If they did offer this, are they actually breaking any laws? And this is where I'm like, I feel like you would need a lawyer to come in, because having a bad contract that favors one person doesn't make it illegal. So that's where I'm like, what law specifically would they be breaking that you could actually take them to court and be like, hey, they're breaking the law. They're trying to take advantage of me. So that's where I'm like, that's where I'm kind of like, contracts can be very predatory in the sense that if it's not breaking the law, but it's morally unethical, that doesn't mean that it's wrong legally. So I would like to know what specific laws. If anybody knows any laws that a contract like this would break, just let me know. Hugh said, I hope we get to read the contract ourselves. I don't think we'll ever get to read the contract. Unless someone leaks the contract, we'll never get to see it. Webtoons wouldn't, like, if this was true, the backlash that it's gotten, there's no way that Webtoons would be like, oh yes, here's the contract. There's no way. I feel like I need to ask some originals and be like, hey, does Webtoons make you sign an NDA before they send the contract to you? Because I feel like the only way this person could get in trouble is if they already signed a contract beforehand. Delphi said, I think it depends on how big/powerful of a creator you are. If there are agents lining up to sign you, you can probably pick and choose your deals. If you're a small creator with an agent assigned to you by a big company, that's different. 100% agree. Like, power dynamics do affect the relationship that you'll have in your business. So like, if you have no power when you come to the table, of course the more powerful person is going to be like, you have to conform to us. You need us more than we need you. Like, that's always going to be the mentality. And often that is the mentality in business. Taylor said, reminder that a legit agent will never ask you for money to work with them. Oh, thank you, Taylor. Love that. Hugh said, from where I'm from, $10,000 is a lot. Ooh, yeah. Beanie said, I would only sell the IP rights to a series I specifically created to sell so that I'm not partnering with not parting with something too dear. Maybe that's why so many originals are so soulless. Okay, listen, Beanie, we are of the same brain here, and I'm going to elaborate on this later, but since it's already come up in the chat, I just want to like highlight it and say 100%. I would never sell a large portion of my IP rights for a passion project or my magnum opus. If I did get a deal from any company that was like, we would love for you to write, to draw, character design, whatever, and we want exclusivity, we want 100% rights, then I'd be like, oh, no, you can't have those characters. Like, I would not give anyone rights to the Apollo avatar. I would not give anyone rights to Cyrus or Radiance or any of those characters that I've been working on. Like, all of those, like, you would have to offer me. Okay, let me rephrase. Because I was like, actually, I probably would sell some rights depending on how much money. So you would have to offer me a reasonable to extreme, because it depends on my mood, extreme offer to actually make me buy into this. Just said there has to also be an NDA or we would have seen more contracts by now. There has to be. Like, Webtoons is probably like, sign this and then we'll send you the contract. Has to be. Webtoon has a contract scandal of some sort every 6 to 12 months. We would have seen it if they could show it. Beanie is right. You can have your magnum opus story, but other ideas that you simply don't care that much about. Yes, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I would specifically probably be like, oh, I'll just throw something super simple together. Like if they were like, we want, unique characters, I'd be like, okay, each character will have one color assigned to them. Like, I wouldn't go like super crazy on it. Ethemus, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I'm sorry. All creators have to sign an NDA to see the contract. That's why the Reddit account was a burner, so Webtoon couldn't trace the creator. The Beat allegedly has a copy of it. Ooh, we're gonna talk about the Beat. But I want to look at some of the comments. Like, I'm getting sidetracked, but I just love talking to you guys. It's always so much fun. Okay. So here's one thing right here. So this person said, not letting Webtoon try and bury this one. Laughing my. Thanks for the in-depth tea. There's been a lot to suggest foul play on the platforms in over the years, so someone taking the time and risk to come forward and speak on it is crucial and appreciated. I've heard lots about creators losing partial to full IP rights to Webtoon. Unfortunately, though, Webtoon relies on a lot of young and or inexperienced creators to fill their library, as those creators won't know any better or won't think to hire a lawyer, or won't have the money to do so. It's absolutely predatory and should be talked about more. I'm not surprised Webtoon is pulling this crap to this extent, but I'm always pleasantly surprised when someone is willing to come out about it. So what I liked about this post in particular was the person was basically saying that more people need to be as transparent as they can about how the business side of things works. Because as a young creator, let's say you're on Webtoons, you're 18, you're working on your passion project, you're super excited about it, and then someone recognizes you and they're like, hey, we would love to make you a full-time artist. And art is still has like a weird viewpoint on it where a lot of people, have the, what is it called? Like artist bum, like where you're a bum or whatever if you're an artist. And so I think a lot of people have that fear that they'll never be able to do this full time. And then it's like, oh, the clouds have parted. I can be a full-time artist. Oh, $2,000 an episode? That sounds amazing, or whatever. And they get into these contracts where it ends up not being that great. They're overworked, not to mention whatever else they had on their plate at the time. And so this is why I feel like looking up articles like this, or even if they're not true, they kind of open the mind space to really think about like how you would proceed if you did receive a contract like this, and how like you would go about like either countering, if you would get a lawyer. Like right now, I have 2 lawyers that I would contact immediately if I received any sort of contract. Like they're not on retainer or anything, but I've talked to one and another one I've looked up, so I know exactly who I would call. I've done research on them. I've seen other people leave comments about it. I've looked up the people who've left comments about it. Like that way, if anything happens, I kind of know like, okay, I'm going to need $600 to reach out to this lawyer for them to review this contract. And that's just like why I feel like it's so important to not ignore things like this, even if it isn't 100% true. Allegedly. All right, let's end the poll. So, for $10,000, 61% said you've lost your mind, 38% said maybe with royalties, and 0% said absolutely. So, we're not 50-50 yet, but we do see that some people are kind of like a little piqued, a little interested with $10,000 in royalties. So, you have to think about like, this is where I'm like, you've got to weigh, like $10,000 does sound like a lot of money, and royalties do sound nice. Royalties generally come with a caveat. They fluctuate. They're not always the same. So you would be giving up your intellectual property for $10,000. That's not even a year's worth salary anywhere in the US. So these are the things that I'm like, you have to put in perspective. But I could see someone taking this on if they were still going to keep their other job and be like, yeah, I'll take $10,000. Thank you. Let's see. Taylor said, I agree with this comment so hard. Sometimes you've got to make less exciting things to fund your passion project. Yes. So it's unfortunate that we can't all just automatically work on the project that inspires us. Sometimes you might have to work on something that you're not as excited about, but you can use it to establish yourself. You can like start building a name, networking, figuring out the insides of things, learning how the business side of things works, getting that experience and building from there. Kantella said, the part where Webtoon becomes your agent is weird. An agent from Webtoon would favor the company over you probably. That's what I'm saying. Like it logically, the agent would use Webtoon's own resources. Not saying that like you as the creator couldn't ask Webtoon to, use their resources as well. But I'm just saying like the deal would be from Webtoons and your agent would be from Webtoons. They'd be like, oh yeah, I couldn't get anything better. Like say Webtoons is like, okay, we want to give you 50 cents per issue. And they're like, I couldn't get anything better. It's your own company. What do you mean you couldn't get anything better? Well, that's all they would give me. So that's where I'm like, there's not really like any, how could you confirm what is being said? And that's where I feel like the agent kind of helps things a little more transparent between the two parties. I don't know. That's just my feeling and the little bit of research that I've done. If there are any agents out there that would like to come on and talk to us, help us figure out how this works in more detail, I would love to interview you. So if you know an agent, send them my way. Taylor said, it's not usually for an agent to have a handful of publishers they have relationships where networking is their job. They don't work for those people though. Hugh said, if Webtoons becomes filled with young and inexperienced creators, the content there will be of objectively low quality. And it will only hurt Webtoons in the long run. Webtoons needs better contracts to attract professional talent. So I feel like it really, I completely agree logically with what you're saying, Hugh, but I also feel like there's a lot of stuff on Webtoons that people are obsessed with that wouldn't be my fancy. So I'm kind of like, I feel like they could sustain that model for a little while and people would be really entertained with it. Jess said an agent that works for the company you're negotiating with is absolutely useless. Yep, 100%. All right, let's look at one more comment. Okay, so this person said, I was just thinking of launching a Webtoon on Canvas. Previously, I had one, and Webtoon even contacted me, but I had my exams and stuff, so I couldn't really do the original back in 2021. But now, I was just thinking of drafting one under the same creator name. Maybe I shouldn't do that. No, you should still make the comic on Canvas. I wanted to put this out there. Right now, Webtoons is still probably the best place to post your comic to get it noticed. Like, you can build a decent sized fan base still on there. You can still do a lot of stuff on Canvas without having to work with Webtoons directly. So Webtoons is still a hosting site that has tons of people on it. So you can still build up a following there and just not have to deal with the politics or the legal mess of being an original. So build up your fan base. That was a quick one, but I saw it as I was passing. I was like, let me read this one. All right, this person said, I think the merchandising and print publishing clauses are fairly new. Previously, it was well known that Webtoons would only keep digital publishing rights, and merchandising wasn't really something they did until recently. I could see how a passionate creator with a decent income safely net could justify signing for originals under the previous contracts. This one is just stupidly predatory though. I just feel like you've really got to be on top of your stuff. And with comments like this, I can see where Webtoons has evolved from what they used to be, but companies are going to evolve. Companies are wanting additional revenue streams. Like, most companies are going to keep innovating, going to keep trying to figure out how to make things work for themselves. And the reason why I feel like a contract like this was probably made is because of Miss Worldwide herself, Rachel Smythe. Lore Olympus, I think, became so popular, became such a huge juggernaut for that series that when Webtoons reviewed it, they looked at the cost, they looked at the amount of money that, they and probably Rachel gained from that. They were like, we left so much money on the ground. How could we have done this? So it's really, I don't want to say it's unfortunate, because I don't necessarily think that it's unfortunate. But I do think that it has opened up Webtoons' eyes of how much money and how powerful an IP from their platform could be. Okay. Now, here's a little bit of reminders that I just wanted to cover with everybody. If you get a contract and you decide to move forward and you're like talking to whoever at the company is reaching out to you, the manager, the owner, whoever, and they're verbally telling you things, but you have a written contract, you could even trust the person. You could be like, oh, their vibe is so awesome, they're so nice, they're so honest. Vibes do not matter when it comes to a written contract. Unless the contract is fully verbal on both sides, which even then, that's a mess. But at least then, neither of you has anything in writing, and so the courts have to figure it out. Have to is a strong word, but you get what I'm trying to say. Verbal means nothing when you have written. You have to do addendums or adjustments to the contract in writing. So let me tell you a personal story of why getting a contract in writing is so important. So back when I was a paralegal, I worked for this lawyer. She was awesome. She taught me so much. I learned so much from her. And she ended up leaving the company that I was at. And this was right around the time when they were going to do reviews. And so this is when you get raises and all of that good jazz. So the lawyer that I was working for, she was like, oh, I want to promote you to senior paralegal. And I want you to, blah, blah this and blah, blah that. And it's going to be so awesome. And I'm so excited to have you as my right-hand man. And I was like, yes, I'm on the game. So, she left, and then they hired this new lady, super awesome, super sweet. She was really nice, and like, lawyers being sweet is just strange to me. But anyway, she was super nice, and so when it came time to do my review, she had been there for like 2 months. And so like, we were talking, and she was like, all right, well, that's it. And I was like, we didn't discuss raise or anything. And she said, I didn't have you down to get a raise. And I was explaining to her, like, the lawyer before you, like, she intended to do this and do that. And she was like, oh, do you have it in writing? And I was like, no, I didn't think I needed to. I work for you. And she was like, well, I mean, I don't know what you're saying could be the truth. And so from that point on, I knew that any business deal, no matter if it was like the company I was at, or if it was from like, a friend or something, like if there needed to be clarification, you needed to get it in writing. Like, that lawyer, the first one, I feel like she would have given me the raise, given me the promotion. But the second one, but she left. And so now I'm screwed. So like, let's say that you're working at Webtoons, you love the people you're working with, and everything is verbal. They get bought out and then they fire everybody. And so when it's time for whatever you discussed to be implemented, and then you're like, okay, well, this is what I discussed with them, they're going to go by what's in black and white, what's written in your contract. So it's so important to get everything in writing. It just protects you in the long run. So let's say Webtoons got bought out tomorrow. Well, the people who buy them out, they don't have any relationships with you. They may not have good intentions. They may just want to gut everything. The only thing that's going to keep them from canning your series or getting rid of you is literally oh man, this Buffalo Rock has hidden me hard. Is literally the contract that you have. So like you could be like, I have a 2-year contract. You can't do anything until my 2-year contract ends, or you can buy me out. So that's where I'm just like, you have to be careful and really think about what's going on and understanding like how contracts work. Okay, the next thing is there's a wish fulfillment, I think, within every artist to work with a big company. So a company reaches out to you to make your dreams come true of you being able to produce a series. That's awesome. I love it for you. I'm so happy that, your dreams are coming true, but you have to be able to control your emotions to the extent that you don't allow the wish fulfillment, the joy to force you into a bad contract. Remember that, if you're not an established artist, you don't have an established fan base, you're not making your living off of this, there is going to be a power imbalance, and the company is going to push to put you in the worst possible situation because the company wants to make the most money off of you. You are a tool in their toolbox. That's it to them. And I don't know anyone at Webtoons. I can't speak for them. I'm just talking about the business aspects of things. I feel like a business, again, is always going to look out for itself. Now, the last thing is the morality versus the legality. So just because something is morally or ethically wrong doesn't mean it's legally wrong. So if you get a contract and you feel like you're trying to take advantage of me, write back and be like, I'm taking advantage of you. I want $1 million. I want $1 billion for my IP. Like, who cares? At this point, it's just it's just giggles anyway, because you weren't going to do it. Like, I would counter with the most ridiculous thing. But my point about the morality is, I think because there's such a power imbalance, people often think about the morality only in the sense of how it affects them in terms of getting a better deal. But, if we're applying morality, it does apply to the company as well, if we're talking about things being fair. And then I can hear people saying, well, it's not fair. Exactly, that's the point. So that's why I'm like, get your own bread. Like, I would not be concerned about anyone else, to be honest. Like, if you came to me and you were like, Apollo, all of the other artists are making 50K but I want 75. I would be like, get 75 and do not get anything less. You deserve 75. If the other artists want to get 50, that's on them. Your contract, your pricing, that's between you. And if people want to ask you, like if somebody came up to me and was like, well, I would like to know how much your contract is for, I would tell them. And if they were like, of course, we're saying if I could, I would tell them. And if they were like, I don't understand, that's not fair, I'm only making this, I'd be like, did you fight to get what you wanted? Because let me tell you, any promotion, any job offer that I get offered at this point, I always counter. It doesn't matter if they hit my number. I always counter and ask for more. And that's just the shark in me. Have you guys seen Shark Tank? Like, I'm one of those people that would be like, I'm investing 5% in your company for $50,000. And they're like, I'm at $1 million valuation. I'd be like, I know. I wanted to do 1%. Like, that is me when it comes to business. I'm sorry. Okay. So, as the days have gone on, let me just say this. I found it so funny and so good that Webtoons actually responded to this, because I was like, I wonder if they're going to say anything. This is getting a lot of attention, and they did. So let's actually look at the article that was posted. And again, all the links for all of this is in the description. So if you want to read the Reddit article we were just looking at, you can totally check that out. I have it linked below, but what we're going to be looking at now is the Comics Beat site, and they actually reached out to Webtoons to kind of get like some information on what's going on and all of that stuff. Taylor said, consider you and your dreams in 5 or 10 years when you get that contract. 100%. When people start saying fair during a deal, you know it's not going to be fair. This is the most fair deal we can offer. It means you are not getting yours. Oh, absolutely. Kantella. Oh, this I haven't seen. Yes, yes, yes. So the article is linked down below. I think it was posted. Was it posted yesterday? No, what happened? Can we go back? Oh, no, we need to go forward. Okay. So it was posted on 4/10, which was Wednesday. God, I need to get a pop-up blocker because I feel like I get on this site whenever we're doing stuff and I get so many pop-ups. Deranged. Go away. All right, we're just going to have to... All right. Okay, so I think I want to start here. As the Webtoons format is becoming increasingly popular, this article is an attempt to look at what we know about the business model as offered by Webtoons, what we don't know, and what creators are complaining about. So what's the deal? Webtoons Originals program has been in place for years. In case you're curious, here's Webtoon explaining the Webtoon Originals program. So click here to really see that. And I think that takes you to, I can't remember, but I think that takes you to what we looked at earlier. Webtoons Original offers payment for comic series that actually, okay, remind me to come back and click that. Webtoons Originals offers payment for comic series that are greenlit and launched by and exclusively featured on the Webtoon site. In addition to the Originals program, Webtoons also offers Canvas, a program that focused on user-generated content. Webtoon Canvas creators do not sign contracts with Webtoon and maintain full control of their work. Canvas series earn money via advertising, revenue sharing, and when the program launches later this year, super like purchases from fans. So clearly you can see they did their research. They know what's up. According to Webtoon, the company offers several monetization options for creators, including ad revenue, paid content purchases when readers pay coins to get access to the latest chapters of the series. Super Likes, a recently announced program that will allow readers to super like a series, kind of like a tip jar. It's set to debut for Canvas in a few weeks and for original creators later in 2024. Webtoons also offers an international localization program to help comics get translated and published in other language and thus generate additional revenue from new regions. Webtoon original creators receive advances to help jumpstart production of new series and episodic payment to assist with ongoing production, a process Webtoon refers to as investing in creators with talent and vision. However, according to the original poster, who has since deleted their account, the latest terms of Webtoon Originals contracts are an unacceptable rights grab among the allegations for the original poster. Webtoon would automatically have the ability to buy 100% of the IP of an original submission, something their original poster says has already happened to some creators. Webtoon would own the publishing rights. Digital publishers should not have... Okay, we're rereading this, so we'll skip down because we just read that. Here we go. So after they, finished quoting the Reddit article, it says The Beat, this is talking about them, reached out to Webtoon for comment and received this statement. All right, so now we're getting into the tea. This is the drama. This is where I'm just like gagged completely. We're aware of a post online that misrepresents our terms and how we work with creators. At Webtoon, we've created multiple programs that allow creators to select the path to monetization that works best for them and their series. Our platform monetization models prioritize creators, ensuring they can build an audience for their webcomic and make money. Our terms enable creators to maintain ownership of their webcomic while bringing their story to life in a growing number of monetization formats. Did you answer any of the questions? Did you say that you didn't offer this contract? You said the post misrepresents our terms and how we work with creators. You never denied that like I feel like if this was completely wrong, like if they were just like, oh, yeah, we never said that. They would have outright said, we never said that. This to me is like very much either legal speak where you talk in circles, or it's PR speak where you talk in circles and you don't say anything. Like you didn't address the article at all. You just said like, oh, that post misrepresents our terms and how we work with creators. We actually have multiple programs that allow creators to select. That's not what the post is about. We know you have multiple programs. Like, we understand that you have a platform to help creators monetize their comics, either in print publishing and multimedia, like any of that stuff. So, but you didn't address the article and say that's completely false. You said it was misrepresented. Where's the extra context? Because this is my thing about a statement like this. You didn't address the issues. Although, like, I don't know what the beat asked them per se, but in terms of, you know, have we offered contracts like this before? That's an easy one to answer. Do we want 100% IP rights? No. And like, I'm like, you have on your own site that you don't do that. So you could have just been like, oh, refer back to this because we actually don't do that. And that would have been an easy way to sidestep that and completely squash it. So let's continue. It says Webtoon also provided some details of how the original contracts works. It requires digital exclusivity to the platform, lasting 3 years from the date the series completion. This means that the series can only be featured online on Webtoons and not on another Webtoon platform, personal blog, or webcomic site or app. 3 years. So if it takes you a decade to finish your series, you cannot post that series anywhere else for, you know, to help monetize it, help get more gain for 3 years. And so we kind of see that happening with Mangi. Like when she left, when things ended, I think we'll be coming up on year 3. So it's just crazy to me. This is why I'm like, we need the full contract to be able to see the little things that aren't there, because I didn't know that. And that's crazy to me. Like 3 years is a long time. You better be doing something for me in those 3 years besides just putting it behind a paywall. Like, how many people are really still supporting series? Like, I would want to know the numbers, like to see if it's even beneficial. Like if my thing goes behind a paywall for 3 years, would I be making any money? While original creators do not receive...
I found this on the web, for I don't want to know the numbers.
Shh. I don't know why Siri started talking then. She wanted to join the conversation. That was super random. While original creators do not receive money from Webtoon to start and maintain the series, creators in the program potentially maintain majority ownership of their webcomic, potentially is a key word here, and earn money through reader purchases, ad revenue, and other monetization mechanisms while their comics are featured on Webtoons. Comic creators can shop their project around to other websites or print publishers on their own after their exclusivity period with Webtoon ends, but 3 years after the last chapter of the series is not an insignificant period of time. Exactly. The hype for your series is gone way down. That's crazy. So like if I'm at peak at the end of my series, so many people are interested. So many people want volumes or any of that stuff. Webtoons is like, oh, like if they had 100% ownership, we're not doing anything. We'll see how things continue to go, because they're still getting money because it's on their site. I wouldn't be getting additional revenue streams. So that's why I'm just like, this just seems rough. When asked for comment, a Webtoon spokesperson pushed back against the claims made in the Reddit post, saying that most of what was described was inaccurate. Okay, tell us how it's inaccurate. For example, according to Webtoon, their contracts don't allow purchase of 100% of the IP. Webtoon denied that this had occurred in the case of the original post or for any other Webtoon creators. So the person responded saying, "We haven't bought anything 100% IP." I hope this doesn't come back to bite them, because if this is true and they're denying that they did this, this could be legal grounds for something. All right, Webtoon characterizes their participation as being an investor in the work, with creators maintain ownership of their underlying IP. According to a spokesperson, Webtoon's deals support creators at every stage of the process without any guarantee of the company recouping the cost involved with launching a new original series on their platform. Agree to disagree, because if you're launching it on your own platform where you have an audience, you can push that thing until people click on it. You can keep putting it up on the banner like you do. I'm not trying to pick on Rachel, but Lord Olympus is on the banner all the time because it makes y'all money, because people click on it. But you can do that for other series and make people click, make people read. Like, you can really, like, Webtoons controls their own algorithm. So, like, they can force what's on the banners. They can force, like, what series, keep getting suggested to you over and over again until you click. Because, and the reason I say that this works, which some of you might disagree, the only reason I ever got involved with Webtoons is because on YouTube, I kept getting Webtoon ads. Like, every 5 seconds, I would get a Webtoon ad. And finally, I was just like, sure, I'm going to check this out. Like, okay. And I did, and I really enjoyed it. So I could see, like, them pushing a series like that to the point where it's successful. You control the power here, Webtoons. I don't like the fact that they're saying that they're an investor in the work. I don't know if I agree with that. Like, I don't like the idea of them being an investor in my project. Like, I understand what it's saying. I just don't like the terminology. Like, I would prefer anything else. Regarding the Reddit post claim that upon signing with Webtoon, the creator would be ceding ownership of their publishing rights to Webtoon, according to the spokesperson. Webtoons has an option to acquire the print publishing rights for a limited amount of time. Should that option be exercised, they will acquire the rights, and creators will receive standard industry compensation in accordance with business practices common in print book publishing in North America. Okay, so the thing of this is, like, it varies so much that what's the standard? Like, you're talking about a field where everything is like hush hush, and like a lot of people don't like to talk about like how much they're making, and everybody has NDA. So what's the standard? Like, and I feel like if you're saying this is the company's standard or the public standard, release the numbers. Say what it is. As for merchandising, Webtoon described the deals as an exclusive license to develop merchandising opportunities on the creator's behalf, with the creator receiving royalties. The deal is exclusive, they say, mostly to centralize efforts to find, negotiate, and finalize merchandising/licensing efforts. But my thing of it is, why do you need exclusivity then? Like, if you're doing it on my behalf, take a smaller portion. All you're doing is sending it around. Like, you already have these contacts. You're not doing a lot of extra work where you're like, I need exclusivity to really get you a good deal. That doesn't make sense to me. I wouldn't do that, because, like, if you're just reaching out to companies, heck, I'll shoot Walmart a message myself. Like, I'm bold like that, y'all. I'm here to say to everybody that I am a big fan of cutting out the middleman. If you can get your bag on your own, just go ahead and reach out to the person directly yourself. Like, it's not worth it, in my opinion, to outsource everything. Some stuff you can make your own deals, negotiate yourself, and cut them out completely. And be like, actually, Webtoons, you can have 10%. You can have 5%, because I did all the work. Taylor said, I follow some original creators who are basically doing all of their own marketing. What are you doing in those 3 years, Webtoon? Exactly. Hugh said, I think the opposite is true. No? The opposite of what? What did I say? They only push already successful Webtoons. See, they do, but I'm like, Webtoons, I feel like could make any series successful. Like, if they pushed it enough. Like, I feel like a lot of marketing is like repeating, like repetition. So the more you see something, like you're really breaking down those mental barriers, like there's a lot that you can do to like really bolster a series from the marketing side. Taylor said the standard is bad. Yes, the standard is bad. So I'm like, you're saying that you're in harmony with common standards in the industry, but the standards are bad. Taylor said that's why indie publishing is up. Publishers want to give pennies per book sale after you make back your payout and ask you to market yourself. Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like, they send you an advance and then they're like, okay, well, you need to make this amount of money before we'll completely invest in the series some more. Okay, but not invest in the series, but now you hit your royalties and your royalties are pennies. And so it's like, how does this really help me if I'm only getting 30 cents every time I sell a book and you're getting 10? Make it make sense. As far as Webtoon becoming an agent for the comics creator Webtoon series, the platform says that once again, their contract simply describes an option to purchase multimedia. So this is TV, movie, anime rights, subject to the industry standard compensation terms, with the creator receiving the majority of right fees. Webtoon compares their role to being a producer, not an agent. Okay, so now this is where I'm just like, this makes no sense. So you're my partner, you're my producer, you're my agent. Like, why are you wearing so many hats in our relationship? This sounds like you're controlling every aspect. Oh, you're my publisher. You're controlling every aspect of my series. Like, I literally just work for you at this point. Like, you're like, oh, thank you for pitching your series. Now make the series. Like, essentially, you've become a Webtoon producer. Which is fine if that's what you want to do. Like, no tea, no shade. But I'm just saying, like, that's just crazy to me that Webtoons is like, well, actually, we're going to wear all of these hats for you. That's a red flag to me. Any company that's saying they're going to like give me the moon, the stars, the skies, the universe, that's a red flag. That doesn't make sense. And I don't know why anyone would be willing to give a company so much control unless they prove themselves to you and you have that sort of faith in them. I'd be like, we'll talk about that later. Like, let's see how you do on the digital side and helping me become a global sensation before I give you any agent or producer rights or publishing rights. I would just like mark out that whole section. Be like, this contract is just going to be about digital stuff. And like, when I'm ready to do merchandising or I'm ready to do print publishing, I will come to you first. And we can discuss it, and then we can make a contract specifically for the print publishing, or for the merchandising, or if I want to sell it to, Netflix or something. Which, this is another thing why I feel like Webtoons might be like, oh no, we're leaving money on the table. Heartstopper is like insanely popular, and so Webtoons was like, that was on our site, and we didn't scoop it up. So we lost all of that money that they made. Oh, I like what Benny said here. He said, Webtoons are the standard setters, so that response is actually laughable. I didn't even think about that. They are setting the standard. You're right. They have like a monopoly of the Webtoons that are like the Webtoon ecosystem. Okay, let's finish reading this. So Webtoon compares their role to being a producer, not an agent. Indeed, this is a fairly typical clause in many publishing deals that focus on media rights, although, once again, how long the option applies for and whether the creators can get those rights back is a key element of any deal. Finally, Webtoon characterized the original's arrangement as one where Webtoon and the comic creators become business partners working together to use their resources to find mutually beneficial opportunities to invest in the creators and their work. I like this. I like the idea of this. I just feel like if the contract is as harsh as it is on the creator side, it sounds like everything is up for the company side and not for the creator side. So this is where I'm like, in a contract, you can't have it be too broad. Like, you would want clear, concise language so that there's no wiggle room for both parties. Like, if I give you exclusive rights to be my digital publisher and not my print publisher, it needs to say in the contract you have exclusive digital rights only. That's it. Obviously, there are many claims and counterclaims in all of this without seeing the actual contract that the original poster was referring to. It's hard to judge how much of the terms in Webtoon Originals contracts are negotiable, how long all the terms apply, or whether the situation described by the original poster is accurate or not. Each creator's agreement with Webtoons might be slightly different depending on how the creator, their agent, or lawyer might have settled terms of the agreement before signing. Want to send us a copy of a recent contract? Please, I want a copy of the recent contract. Through our correspondence with Webtoons, we did learn that there are several terms that Webtoon and creators can negotiate. This includes situations where Webtoons might acquire a portion of underlying IP, but in cases a creator opts out of this type of arrangement, creators would maintain 100% ownership and have final say in any exclusive licensing opportunities. So this is merchandise, print publication, TV movie adaptations that might arise. But as mentioned above, the digital exclusivity period spelled out in a contract for Webtoon's original series is 3 years past the ending date of the series, which in particular terms covers the time when the story would almost certainly have its greatest impact and readership. Yep, 100%. So what I will say about this is why you always counter. Like, if you can save let's say you're willing to give up 10% of your rights. If you can talk them down to 5, that's even better. Remember, you don't have to be fair. And I'm sorry to say it like that because it sounds wrong. And I'm sure people are like, but I want to be fair. Not in business. I'm sorry. And I feel like that might come back to bite me in the future one day. I try to be fair with my stuff. I believe in being fair, but I'm also kind of like, if I have something that's so precious to me that I don't want to give up anything, I'm going to whittle you down as far as I can to make sure that I got the best deal for me and I didn't give up too much. Okay, so let's do another poll. All right, so this poll is going to be, so what did we do last time? Was it 10,000? Let's do 100,000. So, for 100,000, would you sell 100% of your IP rights? Let's keep it simple. Yes, no, and I'm going to put maybe. Let's scroll down. So the creators speak out. So there's a lot of creators that they mention here, and I have it on a post on my Instagram as well as my Twitter, but I specifically wanted to look at the Boyfriend's creator because this is actually a really popular creator. And for the fact that a popular creator like them is speaking out, I feel like it only shows the disillusion that a lot of individuals are having with the current Webtoon, is it leadership? Mentality. The current Webtoon mentality. So they said, my contract is not this bad and I'm already ready to kill myself. So they're like, my contract isn't this bad and it still sucks. They said, did you know that they stopped translating my Spanish version and refused to continue it at some point? I offered to pay for translations myself, and even then, there were some pushback when I brought it up. Did you know they stopped acknowledging me publicly around 1 to 2 years ago? Do not sign with Webtoon, and if you're already there, don't sign any additional contracts like IP acquisition and merch contracts. It's all BS and empty promises. So now, empty promises is a strong word because I'm like, you might have a legal case there, but I'm just saying that if you do have a deal with them, it needs to be specific. So if you have a merch deal, make sure it's specific and like timetable, like if you want it to happen immediately, include of the essence. Like you got to make sure that everything that you put in the contract is going to be enacted within a reasonable amount of time. And like Webtoons puts in there, they have specifics in there for their end for what they want. So you need to make sure you cover your bases. There was another person I wanted. Oh, the creator of Raven Saga. They said, why do you think I never promote my series anymore? I'm quitting, and I don't want them to own my series after my contract is done. If the series don't bring them money, then they won't buy my IP. Now, I probably wouldn't have said that out loud myself. Like, if that was my plan to, like, openly admit that I'm, like, sabotaging myself. Because now I feel like if somebody at Webtoons is really petty, they're like, we're going to buy it. Thank you. Like, I would buy it just to piss them off. But that's just me. Hopefully no, like, Webtoons person is watching this. No one from Webtoons has ever contacted me. And I enjoy that. I'm like, okay. All right, so this is the creator of Fictional Skin. They said, if you're seeing a lot of veteran Webtoon original creators not continue with Webtoon, agenting up, getting their own deals in order in other places within the last year, it's not a coincidence. So they talk about in this part why it matters, and basically it's really talking about how Webtoons has like, you know, such a strong hold and monopoly on this genre. And so it's super crazy that that so many people are dissatisfied and talking about it publicly. Like, I'm not sure if they're even concerned with their public image. And it could be like a US to like a Western to Eastern sort of mentality. Like, I don't know, but it's just so strange to me because I feel like over in the West, like we are not transparent about a lot of things, and they're not being transparent, but I just mean like in terms of like people try to manipulate the perception of things to make it seem like things are good. Like, oh, everything is great and amazing over here. And so it's just so interesting that so many people, so many of their own creators are speaking out like this. All right. So that was that. If you want to read the article in full, link in the description. Oh, Adagong, hello. Kaylee Blue said Heartstopper had a published book before they were ever on Webtoons, by the way. That's awesome. Like, see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, establishing yourself outside of Webtoons, having your own following, getting your own deals. Like, you don't have to wait on Webtoons. And so when Webtoons reaches out to you, you're in all the more powerful position. Benny said, maybe empty promises means like when they buy the rights to make it a show, but never make one, and now the creators can't sell the rights themselves because Webtoons is holding it. See, this is what I'm talking about. You buy the rights to do that or something like that. I would have a clause in there that you need to make the series or make a show within 5 years, 10 years, something like that. Like, there must be some sort of movement on this. Hugh said, I like to hear how it's like in Korea side of Webtoons. Okay, yeah, I would too. Let's end the poll. Paige said, I deeply appreciate every originals creator who has spoken out over the years. They're helping so many other creators to make a better informed decision. 100% agree. Ooh, wow. Now this was like a really different response. Like before, we had a lot of people that were like, they would take the $10,000 with royalties, but here 44% said no outright to the 100,000. 44% said maybe to the 100,000, and 11% said yes. Okay, so I see that we need 6 figures clearly to start saying yes to stuff. Got it. So I know what we're gonna do for the next poll. All right. This is just something that I feel like I took away from the article. You should always counter no matter what the situation is. Why didn't you counter? Like, countering, you don't lose anything from countering. What are they going to do? Take away the contract? If you were already not going to take the contract, why not counter? And be like, hey, like, don't be emotional about it. Be logical about it. Like, put the feelings aside and focus on, like, how you can better yourself. I do think it's important to act like you're an equal. Like, you are an equal in this situation to an extent. But even if you don't feel like you are, pretend. Like, the best way to approach a business sort of thing, in my opinion, is not to overreact, not to be overly emotional. Like, don't give them anything to read into. Like, I would prefer for them to not know if I'm going to take the contract, or prefer for them to think that I'm only interested, that I'm weighing my options, because then I feel like it becomes predatory when they can tell even more so how to manipulate you. They're like, oh, you really want this. Which, is that illegal? I don't think so, but it definitely is morally wrong, in my opinion. And so this is where, before you ever get the contract, so if you still want to work with Webtoons, nothing wrong with that. I would still work with Webtoons, but you should know your boundaries and know your worth. So, like, that's why I've been doing these polls a little bit. I feel like, putting it into words, actually thinking about, would I take $100,000? Would I take $10,000? Would I take X with royalty? All of that sort of stuff really helps you to understand, like, is this actually worth it to me or not? Am I willing to relinquish this or not? So, when you do get those offers, it's an immediate, you kind of know where you're leaning. So I think it's also important to understand what you won't budge on. So I talked to this one creator, and they said giving up their IP, they didn't care what the series was. They would not budge on it at all. They would do licensing for a limited time, which, if you don't know what licensing is, maybe we'll have to do another stream on that in the future. I would prefer to get like someone who's like worked in licensing to come and talk to us about it so we can all learn. But what I'm saying here is, that creator was so dead set. They were like, nope, not going to happen. I don't believe in selling IP ever. And so it didn't matter how much they were offered. Now, I will say, I feel like if you told the creator, like, I'm going to offer you, a crazy amount of money, like $1 billion, I feel like they would say yes. But the thing of it is, that's only my opinion. My point is that's not even a possibility. I feel like 100,000 is kind of a possibility, depending on, your power. Like, do you have a following? Do you have established fan base? Do you have like sales to back up your numbers and reason for why you feel like you're so powerful? Do you have a online presence in multiple different places? Like, are people going to your online shop? Are people like showing up for your live streams? Like, that sort of thing. And just keep in mind that at the end of the day, you are a business person. Don't let someone pressure you or feel pressure to like make a decision immediately. Like people trying like, force individuals into situations being like, you have 24 hours to respond to this. Well, okay, but if I don't get all of my ducks in a row, I'd rather make an informed decision than a bad one and then be stuck in something crappy. Oh, Taylor said, walk into a deal knowing you have something they want. Exactly. Like, why else would they have a meeting with you? All right, so I do have one last Reddit article that I wanted to show you guys, and then we'll start wrapping things up. I'm not going to necessarily actually spend my time reading on this one like I did for the others, but I did want to highlight this. So there is another article that's linked down below. Webtoon defends against predatory exploitative contract claims and presents his own facts. So this was a nice little article that I found that kind of like summarized the Comic Beats article. And I think it's just this paragraph right here. It says, in answers obtained by Beat, Webtoon categorically denied that it could purchase 100% of an IP. It said it could only buy and hold the publishing rights only for a limited time, up to 3 years after the series' completion, with the price in line with industry standards. Naturally, this doesn't address cases with an external buyer is willing to pay significantly more for these rights. Nevertheless, several Webtoons printing rights are held by external publishers. So this is just a nice summarized article. If you want to look at it, they do touch on some other stuff, but just wanted to point that out to you guys. So this article is a creator that's talking about the fact that they were just offered a Webtoon contract. They're a young person, which I feel like is a little bit of Webtoon's demographic, just because I think it is for a number of reasons. They can get away with paying less, the inexperience, the wish fulfillment, all of that stuff. Like, I feel like there's a lot of reasons to target this sort of market and creator, but I can't say that Webtoons does that for everybody, because they do have older creators and they are working with a bunch of people. But I can see the strategic value in doing this, like from a financial standpoint. And I hate to say it like that, because I feel like a lot of you guys are like, that's terrible. But I'm just like, there is a strategy to it, and I can't say it's not working. So they're just saying like their Webtoon isn't out yet. And basically they've been working on this story really hard. They feel like their work is very high quality. They're not cutting corners, any of that stuff. And then, anyway, they bring this out that was interesting. They said, I'm going to use as much 3D as possible. Cut so many corners is going to be a circle. I'll just change up my script slightly and characters and make the absolute worst Webtoon I can realistically make and get away with. I'm so infuriated, I legit am seeing red, but that's besides the point. If they want it, they can have it, because I will make sure I don't want it either. I don't agree with self-sabotaging yourself. I feel like you can be upset about the deal that you have, but you could, possibly back out of the deal. There was a creator, I remember they moved to Webtoons Originals, and then before their series was released, they came back and they were like, I'm actually not going to be an original anymore. It's too much work. I quit. And they got out of their contract. Webtoons didn't hold them to it. So I'm like, if you really feel this way, I would talk to them first. Like if you regret, actually, like you get the contract, you start working, you realize that it's much more work than you ever thought it would be, I definitely would just quit. You can break a contract. So, and I would say if there's not a clause in there that says like, you owe us money for breaking the contract, then I would definitely quit. I think that was it. Like, other than that, it's just talking about that they regret their choice. And I feel like this is one of the instances where, like, we have to think these things through. So don't be quick to accept the contract. Figure out how much time you have to review it and then get back to them as quickly as you can. So I think I will read the opening just so you have a little context. And they said, I signed with Webtoons 2 years ago. I was like 20 and in the middle of university. My webtoon is not out yet. I worked on this comic for quite a bit, obsessively, and not to brag, but the art quality is up there with some studios considering the amount of time I had to refine the story, characters, and art. For those who don't know, I was fine with the pay and the work if it meant I could at least keep a majority ownership of the IP, which is usually stated in the beginning. That was until I came across the recent post and actually sold out money for a lawyer to review my contract. Webtoons literally slaps in a dog crap option to purchase the entire IP 100% for virtually nothing. After speaking with a lawyer just to quadruple check that I was reading and what he was telling me, I decided now that I will completely scrap the 15 chapters that I have as backlog. Okay, so this is where I'm like, I don't know if it's necessarily true, and that's why I was like, I can't remember where it was. But I just don't feel like this is a good plan at all. Like, just always review your contracts and never shoot yourself in the foot to where, like, you are a business person that sabotages themselves. Because you can develop a really bad reputation really quick. And with Webtoon being one of the big companies around, they probably have a lot of connections in other places. Just throwing that out there. Also, all of the art for all of the slides is from Purple Hyacinth. All right. Now, here's the juicy part of the stream that I just want to, like, talk to you guys about. And this is where my perspective on things probably very, very differently from a lot of you guys. Giving away 100% of the IP. Would I do it? Absolutely. Now, I've kind of mentioned this before, and I talked about it earlier. I think Beanie brought it up too. I would not give away my magnum opus or my passion project 100%. I feel like that is a ridiculous amount, and I think that, like, if you're doing that, then I don't know what your circumstances are, but that's kind of intense. I would definitely have something ready to counter them with and give them a different pitch. I would make sure that the story is super simple, that the designs are really simple. Like, characters would be wearing, like, t-shirt and jeans, like a yellow shirt and a green pant, like that sort of thing. Like, it would be very, very, very simple, like a pink dress, like stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, nothing that would take me a lot of time or force me to really have to think about the designs. Everything would be super simple. And I would make sure that the project is a year to 2 years max so that I'm not wasting a lot of time working on it. Just because I'm working on it, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't, like, give it my all or make sure that it's a high quality story or anything. It's just I'm not going to put the same amount of detail into a non-passion project story. So the reason I would accept it too is, like, if I'm in the situation I am in now, depending on other variables, but let's say, like, the episode amount was really good, the royalty fees were good, all of that was good. So in this is like a best case scenario. Or let's say they were decent. I would still accept the deal, and I would make sure that whatever they wanted, they probably couldn't use. Like using any designs where the characters are too broad, it's not marketable. So if you want to buy it, sure, go ahead. If you want to use those characters that are super simple, go ahead. And then this would allow me to start networking. I would have a lot of behind the scene connections. I would have like access to things that, we like there's the Webtoon original Discord. Like there's a bunch of things that I would now have access to like network with, things that I could learn. And I would just spend that whole time building myself up. I would like really advertise my YouTube channel on every episode. Like I would be like, can I include advertisement for my YouTube at the end of every episode? And if they said no, I'd be like, that's non-negotiable. Like there's a lot of stuff where I would be setting up to build up my own self as a success after Webtoons. And I don't feel like that's a wrong thing to think. And if Webtoons was like, are you really only want to do a year to 2 years? I'd be like, absolutely. Just because it's like 5 years to 10 years is a long part of my life, but I would be willing to give up 2 years. So let's do another poll. Are you willing to give up your IP rights 100% for $250,000? I'm going to put, you got me. Still no. And you're getting close. All right. Let me know what you guys think. So let me ask you guys, would y'all be interested in, creating an IP to sell to Webtoons and Webtoons keeps all of the IP rights? It would suck if it did become like super duper popular. Like I could see that being like the downside of something. You're like, oh my God, like I could have been making all of this money. Like it makes me think of the family or the man who created Superman. Like he does not own Superman. His family did not own it. The company owns it. And so like they missed out on so many royalties, so much money because they didn't own it. Like he made it at the studio claimed it. I don't even think he gets creator rights. Like the fact that he made it. That is something I wanted to mention. I would demand as well, you can have 100% rights, but I want everyone to know I made this character. I want creator recognition every time it's advertised. Like you need to include my information somewhere and it needs to be big enough that people can see that I made this. So I can refer to it and use it as leverage in other deals. All right, we've entered our questions. We're going to do our creator shout out. Woot woot. And it's so awesome that the creator shout out for today is Kantella, who's actually here on stream. So they are the creator of the amazing series Lucky, the Thief of Magic. So I would say please go give the episode a like, a heart, leave a comment, support Kantella on their socials. Everything is linked in the description below. Here's a summary of the story. A short story about a newbie werecat adventurer chasing after a famous sorcerer thief who happens to be a bunny. So please go check out Kantella, give them all the support. I love it so much. Oh, Kantella. And with that, I will start entering into my outro type stuff. So the question to the community is, what are your thoughts on the alleged Webtoon contracts? Describe a fair contract you would accept. What percentage of IP rights would you be willing to sell? If you're not willing to part with any IP rights, what is the counter offer you would make? Please comment down below. A Very huge thank you to all of our patrons. We recently got a new one. It was so exciting, and so I really appreciate all of the support. We're doing a lot of work now on Patreon, so we're having, I don't want to say weekly streams yet, but we're getting a few streams in a month, and hopefully we're going to keep building up on juicy topics on there as well. And so with that, I am totally done with today's stream. It was a long one. You guys are troopers. I hope it was fun. I had an amazing time. And I hope going forward, if you guys ever get a contract, you get a lawyer, you review that thing, you counter, and you get some money. So please give this video a like, a comment, a share, do all the YouTube things, and I will catch you guys in the next video.